What's good, everybody? This your main man, Caseyfield, King Light, here to give you my honest thoughts about AEW's All Out 2024. Once again, in the backyard, Tony Khan love coming out this way. I pray to God for 2025 they go somewhere else for All Out. Please go somewhere else. I'm serious, man. Um, what to say? I feel like a broken record every time I come on here describing the AEW pay per view. They always go out their way. They go in. They do it like nobody else. But again, my biggest critique, Tony, for the love of God, please, bro, you don't need everybody and their grandma on the show. Listen, Tony Khan was slick. He purposely tried. I remember he used to actually acknowledge who was going to be on the pre-show, and you would know all the clown matches. But see, he know people get on his helmet about oversaturating his pay-per-views. That's one of his biggest issues. Like I said, he's scared to do less. If you don't have a proper storyline, I'm sorry, you're not going on the pay-per-view. You're not. You must have your storyline must be one of the most important stories going to said pay-per-view, like the picture that you see right there. If it's not, I'm sorry, you're not going on there. The 4 matches that they decided to throw on the pre-show, 2 of them was decent. The other ones was just there because, again, Tony Khan, like, I got to get every clown on the pay show. I got to get every clown on the pay-per-view. You don't need every clown on the pay-per-view. You don't. I don't give a dang what a hardcore sicko has to say. Talk about, oh, just don't watch. No, because there's possibly something that you can miss on the pre-show where they be like, okay, such and such might happen. This, tune in or whatever. Or like I've been saying, use the hour and whatever time you got to hype up your show. Keep showing the countdown. Keep showing the video packages. Use Renee. Use RJ City. Use Jeff Jarrett. Use who else? Whoever you need to use. Nigel McGuinness. Whatever. Use them to hype the show up to get people excited. Let's say somebody that has never watched AEW in their life. They turn on to the pay-per-view channel and they see, oh, it's a wrestling show. You know, I've heard about this AEW stuff. I'm a WWE head. I really haven't given this thing an opportunity. I haven't given it a chance. Maybe I'm interested in buying. Your job on the pre-show is not to just scarf 4 random matches that have no build, no nothing, and think that's what's going to get clowns to pay $50. It don't work. It does not work. This format is garbage. I hate this format. I don't give a dang what a hardcore AEW shield has to say. This format is trash. I wish Tony Khan would get out of his head and tell the clowns in the back, you ain't going on here. You want to know the one matchup I would have put on the pre-show? Even though the matchup was good, I would have put the Fatal 4-Way for the Triple Crown Continental Championship on the pre-show. That's the one matchup I would have had on the pre-show. This way, 7 matches on the main card. Everybody got time to breathe. You got the most important matches of whatever stories you were trying to tell. Everything leading from All In to All Out. Boom. We get this show done. We out of here by at least by 10 o'clock. Tony Khan's silly self decides to give us 4 random matches on the I knew Top Flight was going to be on here based off of what they said. But Top Flight was the only ones that said we'll be on the pre-show. We'll be on 0 Hour. He didn't say nothing about nobody else. And that's what I get so freaking tired of. I'm tired of this foolishness. It's every freaking pay-per-view. Everything. I would say the same thing. That's why I don't want to hear a hardcore WWE shield say that I'm deep riding this clown. No, this is my biggest pet peeve about Tony Khan pay-per-views. TK know the pay-per-view going to be off the chain. He know this. But see, Tony Khan, he treat his pay-per-views like a boxing pay-per-view. You ever watch the boxing pay-per-view? This is the same format. Boxing pay-per-view have like 3 boxing matches on the pre-show. Then once we get to the main show, you'll have like 6 boxing matches, and then we get to the main one. It's the same. Like the match you trying to see is not until 11 o'clock late at night. Tony Khan books his pay-per-views just like a boxing pay-per-view. I noticed that. I peep how he does. He needs to change that format. If he changes that format, this clown could get 9s and 10s out of 10s every time he wants to. Because he know the clowns on his roster are going to give it their all, and that's exactly what they do. But the 4 random matches on the pre-show is uncalled for. I'm not doing the foolishness. I don't give a dang who you got. I don't care how good clowns are. I'm not putting their behinds on the show. I don't give a dang. I don't care. I tell a hardcore AEW head to their face, well, just don't watch the pre-show. No, there's possibly something that you can see on the pre-show that might be important. So I'm going to watch the pre-show. I'm just tired of the random matches that be on there that just drags everything out because once we get to the main show thing, and then again, match placement. We're going to talk about what matches should have been in what order or whatever, and what was possibly the worst match on the show. We're going to break all of this down. But the 4 matches on the pre-show, didn't give a rat's behind about. 2 of them was decent, but I didn't give a rat's behind because they didn't mean nothing to me. This was just Tony Khan showcasing, hey, this is who we got. These are our jobber wrestlers that we have. Some of these clowns are on Ring of Honor, even though we showcase them on Collision or Rampage every now and then. Things got to make sense. Your job for the pre-show is to get clowns that have not purchased the pay-per-view to buy. That is the number one game. Quit focusing on, I got to get every clown in the back on the show. No, you do not. Tony Khan, please listen to me. Listen to me. This is not, I'm not trying to disrespect you, bro. But listen to me. You got to change this format. I'm telling you, bro. Less is more. Don't be scared. Listen, I'm glad it was only 8 matches on the main card, but you snuck 4 matches on the pre-show, which made it 12. That's not good publicity. That's not. I don't give a dang what these hardcore sickos that you force feed every day, and they eat everything you say and do on Twitter like it's great, or X, or whatever you want to call it. No. We got to change our format. We got to change it now. 8 matches, 7 matches are fine. That's it. That's it. That's it. This clown, I know, not 12, no. The only time you can get away with that is All In, because that's your WrestleMania. You can do that at over there. I don't have a problem with that because that's your WrestleMania. But your other pay-per-views, less is more, dog. Less is more. So we're going to break this whole show down. We're going to talk about what I liked the most, what I didn't like, and the to-be-continued factor that happened towards the end of the show. We're going to break it all down because certain things like what happened to Brian and Wheeler Yuta, Lord knows I didn't see that coming. And that's something that we could be talking about going into Wednesday night. Again, pro wrestling, number one thing about pro wrestling is the freaking story that you're trying to tell. I don't care about the flips and dives because the flips and dives are always going to be there. It's about the story, and don't tell me, well, it's the story in the ring. Yeah, that's one aspect. I'm talking about how the clown did we get to this match? What got us to care to see these two or whoever you looking at? Why? That should be the number one focus. We got a new TV deal. More than likely, we're going to be on Max. Whatever. Great. Let's figure out. Like I say, less is more. Let's figure out how to get people to care. Because people keep crying about these dang ratings. And like I said, things aren't going to change overnight. But I'm telling you, it's the small little things that you can change. Change how you do your pre-show format. The pre-show is designed to hype clowns and get people excited to watch the doggone pay-per-view who possibly ain't buy it or ain't bought it yet. Don't put random clown matches that don't mean nothing on the show. I get so freaking tired of saying the same thing over and over and over again. This is one of my biggest pet peeves about Tony Khan's pay-per-view. I hate it. I would never be a fan of it. So I don't care what these, listen, like I said, the hardcore AEW heads, they love it. They sit up and watch 40 matches all day and think that's fantastic. No, that's a drag. And that's what makes certain matches on the show feel like they don't matter. I'm talking about when we get to the main card, because all the energy here was driven out because the previous matches, everybody was so hyped in what they saw. You know what I'm saying? Less is more. I'm going to say it every time. Less is more. We on our way to freaking Wrestle Dream, if I'm not mistaken. Grand Slam is coming up in 2 weeks. But pay-per-view wise, Wrestle Dream is what's the next pay-per-view. We got to do the right thing, Tony. I know you can't tell your wrestlers no. You're afraid they're going to beat you up. You're afraid they're going to expose what you do behind closed doors. Less is more, man. Tell them clowns you ain't going on the show. Listen, it's my fault that I don't know how to tell a story. I'm going to have to figure out how to tell a story and make sure I get you over so people want to see you on the card, not on the freaking pre-show. And then, like I said, there's one of the major reasons why it's so many titles and whatever. But I'm telling you right now, less is more. I'm going to keep saying this every time until Tony Khan gets it right. Until he goes back to just doing one pre-show match and using the rest of the time to hype the pay-per-view up by showing the countdown. Because the countdown situation was fantastic. That countdown basically showcased if AEW wants to tell stories, they can tell stories if they want to. Do that. Let that be the driving force. And then, even though this is what they do, they have 15 billion clowns with commentary, I would still try to level it out. Who are my two tops? I need one color commentator, and then I need one guy that's going to be the one to get the other guy set off. But they're going to both work hand in hand. 3, 4, this is just too much. It's just way too much. We're going to talk about JR, because JR was going off on commentary, and whatever he said, I was 100% in agreement with him. We're going to talk about it all, man. We're going to talk about the ending of this FBA, brother, because I told everybody that Swerve was getting ready to take a break. They even said it. They said Swerve is off TV for the foreseeable future. We don't know how long he's going to be gone, but he's got his break. He got his money. He's gone. This devious clown did what he was supposed to do. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to break everything down. We're going to break everything from everything that happened in the ring to whatever stories they were trying to tell, all of that. And we're going to see from that point on. So let's go ahead and move into this doggone show. So do they have the pre-show matches? Yes, they do. So, boom. This is everything that happened on the doggone pre-show. Listen. Look at this. You had the Acclaim versus Iron Savages. The Acclaim won. You had Dustin Rhodes, Sammy, and Hologram. They defeat Premier Athletes. You had the Bang Bang Gang versus Dark Order. They won. You had Undisputed Kingdom versus Top Flight versus Shane Taylor Promotions with Beast Mortals. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to tell you right now, none of this should have been on the pre-show. The one match that should have been on the pre-show is this match right here. Even with this match being as good as it was, you could have used this matchup, put it on the pre-show, use the first half an hour, first hour, because I think the pre-show started 5:30 to about 6:20. That is the time frame where you're constantly showing the countdown, and you're using Renee and RJ City to constantly hype up why people should watch All Out. And that's basically what it's for. Then as we get close to the 7 o'clock market, I want to say about 6:30. They got about 30 minutes to do what they need to do. 30 minutes to go in there, do what they need to do. You got OC, you got Okada, you got Takeshita, and you got Mark Briscoe. They go in there, they go out, they go crazy. And this will hype fans be like, man, what did we get ready to get on the main roster, on the main pay-per-view? That's what I would have done. By 8 matches, 1 is on the pre-show because why? It didn't have the most story. It's the least one that had the least story. This is the one that's going on the pre-show. Boom. That's what I'm doing. It ain't that difficult. That's what I'm doing. I'm not finna sit up here and just drag clowns on here that don't have nothing to do with the pay-per-view. None of these circus clowns had anything to do with the pay-per-view, but Tony Khan threw all their behinds on the show. This is the stupid stuff. I don't give a dang what nobody has to say. I don't care. All you hardcore AEW heads that deride everything Tony Khan does. This did not deserve to be on the show. None of it. So let's go ahead and break down this show. Mr. MJF and Mr. Danny Garcia. Now, I was going based off of how the story was going. DG got laid out. And 9 times out of 10, you get laid out, you end up coming out the victor at the pay-per-view. The story about this was all about revenge. MJF came out there with the thank me later blanket or whatever you want to call it, flag or whatever, acting like he Drake over there. And as he's doing his little thing, Daniel Garcia comes from behind and starts beating beating him up, tearing his behind up, just beating the bricks off of him. And he was selling the fact that he got busted open, which was fantastic. He had the little wrap thing around his head. Great. Fantastic. That's what you're supposed to do. It's called selling the cut mark or getting busted open. That's great. That's old school pro wrestling. That's what he was selling. That's what he needed to do. MJF beat him up so bad that he bust him open. So MJF is doing everything in his power to try to take this man out. DG slobbing all over the place. He looked like a dead man. But DG wasn't going down swinging. He woke up, basically tried to end MJF, and when he had the opportunity to win the matchup, see, I knew something was up. When he didn't end the match, I said, this man, he didn't cost himself. Wasting time. See, time wasting in pro wrestling seems to be the go-to thing for a lot of wrestling. Drew McIntyre did that the other week. It's like you got the match won, but you wasted time. That's exactly what Daniel Garcia did. him wasting time not taking MJF because he want to quote unquote end this guy by doing the power driver and trying to break his neck and all this crazy stuff. It costed the match. My man Bryce had his back. He wasn't paying attention. MJF got the low blow. He did his move. 1, 2, 3. MJF wins. So, well, he was finna try to end him. Daniel Garcia woke up and he got the opportunity to do the power driver. Took him out. And word on the street, MJF is out of commission, which is fantastic. We don't need MJF right now. He can take a little break. That's great. He's taking a break. We don't need him. He got his victory. He's done. Now, DG, after he beat him down, he actually went through the doggone fans. And, so even though he didn't win the match, he still came out looking strong. You see what I'm saying? So I really didn't have a problem with that. So a lot of people was like, you know what? They was wondering, like, this probably could have been somewhere in the middle, and I agree with them. I absolutely would have opened the show up with the worst match on the show, and once we get there, we'll get there. But I thought this was actually a pretty good job. I thought MJF and Daniel Garcia did a very swell job. They beat the brakes off each other. They told a great story. This was all about revenge. Daniel Garcia not absolutely thinking about winning the match. He just wanted to get revenge. And with him focusing on that, it cost him the match. But he still got his just due because he still did the power drive on him. Now, we move on to the next match, which I believe is the tag team match. Now, the tag team match, it was a decent matchup. This was, once again, champions versus champions. You know the script. The trios champs versus the tag team champs. So there's Claudio and Willa Yuta and the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Matthew and Nick did everything in their power to make you think that Claudio and Willa Yuta was going to walk over those tag team titles. They didn't. They didn't. They did what they were supposed to do. They cheated, as they always do, and they retained their tag team titles. Now, moving forward, I keep saying this, Dynamite and Rampage should be the focal point of tag team wrestling for the tag team titles, while Collision be the home of the trios. That's why every trios match is over on Collision. I don't want to see a trios match over on Dynamite, but we're going to get it. I don't even want to see an 8-man tag team match. Do that match over on Collision and Collision only. Tag team matches are only strictly for freaking Dynamite. So, they retain. We move on. Then we get to possibly, which at the time was probably the best match on the show. Pac and Will Ospreay. I mean, listen, ladies and gentlemen, what else is there to say? Real talk. What else is there to say about it? I mean, I tell you all the time, Will Ospreay, he just wake up. Listen, that man wake up and give you a great match. That's just who he is. I'm conditioned every time he gets in the ring, he gonna give me a classic. Every time. Every time I watch this dude is fantastic. I'm serious. He come out here looking like Assassin's Creed every time. I'm like, man. I'm like, damn, Pac, man. And then they had Ricochet watching from this. I don't know what this is. This whole let me stand sideways. I don't get it. But he was watching. Otherwise, you know where this is going. He's not going after him right now, but you know what's going to happen. These two were kicking out every move they did. They did everything on one another. It was fantastic. The crowd was so into it. The Chicago fans, they was going crazy, going ape. I mean, you thought the match was over when Pac did something. You thought the match was over when Will Ospreay did something. I said, these clowns are acting a complete fool. They going crazy. They going nuts. But they doing what they're supposed to do. And Will Ospreay retained his AEW International Championship, which I expected him to. And that's that. Like I said, I thought the match was great. I thought, like I said, at the time, this was possibly, for most people, outside of the main event, this is probably everybody's favorite match of the whole night. But they went crazy. So, right after that, we got Chris and Willow, Chicago Street Fight. Ladies and gentlemen, these two, with the beef they got going on, homegirls for life, Long Island, New York, came into the game together. One feels betrayed because she, quote unquote, she watched her win the TBS championship that she never, quote unquote, got an opportunity to get another shot for. And she hooking up with Stokely Hathaway, then quote unquote done wonders for her. Ladies and gentlemen, Willow and Chris beat the living dog poop out of one another. This was a crazy Chicago street. They tore each other up. And a lot of people was wondering how they gonna follow Will Ospreay and Pac. They did so. The girls cooked. They overcooked. They slamming each other through tables. Willow popped out of nowhere with a doggone glass light pipe, whatever they call it. I mean, Chris coming out of nowhere with the thumbtack. Listen, they tore each other up. These girls destroyed each other. It was listen. I'm watching this. I said, man, go ahead, y'all. Go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, man, AEW, like they say, it's the place with the best wrestlers. That's not the cap. They not capping when they say that. Like I said, what I want them to do is just tell better stories. And like I said, for the most part, I thought Tony Khan, this is me speaking. I thought for the most part, Tony did a better job getting us from all in to all out. But he still has to figure out, when I got my dead weight, what am I doing with my dead weight? Because that's, like I said, where he's kind of falling suit. He's kind of falling short. Figure a way how to get your dead weight over and not just putting them in random matches that don't lead to nothing. That's how you get your roster over. But again, you got so much going on. You trying to do this show, you trying to do that show, you trying to do Ring of Honor. It's like get some help. He claimed he got 27 clowns helping him out. Figure out what y'all doing, make things make sense, and we off to the fences. But man, Chris and Willow, they cooked. They beat the brakes off each other. I told everybody Willow Nightingale wasn't winning. Sure enough, Chris Statlander got the victory. She choked her out. Done. Now, where do they go from here? I don't know. But again, that's what we're doing. Is Chris going after the TBS championship? I don't know, because she's a heel right now. Mercedes is a heel too. So I don't know. I have no clue what's to come. I don't know. But this was a fantastic Chicago street fight. The girls did work. They cooked. Next. This is the matchup, like I said, should have been on the pre-show. This is the match. Now, don't get me wrong. All four men, they did well. Everybody did good. Okada cooked. Takeshita cooked. Mark Bristol did good. OC cooked. I would have put this on the pre-show. There's no disrespect to none of them. I know people say, that's not fair to Okada. Well, guess what? Tony Khan ain't. Listen, Okada been clowning, lusting over Mercedes, acting the fool, hanging out with the Young Bucks. But the story was just made in 2 weeks. It was literally made in, I hate to say it was really made in one day, truth be told. It was Wednesday and Friday. So 2 days, that was it. So their story really didn't have a story. It was, let me have a couple of contender matches to depend on who's going to get in here and hang out with Okada and become his female dogs. Because on his social media, he pretty much said all of them was his bees. B. That's basically what it was. Now, I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, Takeshita and Okada have never been in the ring together. Okada was always talking bull jive about Takeshita, saying that he was just a rip-off version of him. So I'm saying, well, Tony Khan ain't really did nothing. And you know, Tony Khan, if we're going to have a title change, it's possible that Takeshita could get the job done. That's what I was thinking. Nope. Okada beat the brakes off of everybody. Takeshita came in there doing something. Now you had Don the Clown on commentary, and with him just sitting down, the fans automatically started saying, F Don Callis. People talk about Don getting booed every day. Don Callis don't even have to say nothing, and he instantly gets booed. This is what I was thinking. Okay, if he's instantly getting booed, how about you just go into that and just, I don't know, have Takeshita win the championship out of nowhere because Okada is too busy clowning right now. He's a circus clown. He's a circus act. That's basically what Okada is right now. Takeshita is an up-and-comer guy. They're trying to do something with him and Don Callis in the family or whatever. Why don't you go ahead and put some gold on Takeshita and let him run with that Triple Crown Championship, which should be the main attraction for Collision. I'm trying to tell Tony Khan, you got 6 belts that could be your 3 main belts for both shows. What titles are everybody gunning for? The TBS, the AEW World Championship, and the AEW Tag Teams is the strongholds for Dynamite. The AEW Women's Championship, the Triple Crown Championship, and the Trios belts are the mainstay over on Collision. Boom. That's it. Now, as for what you do with everything else, the International is on Dynamite. The FTW Championship could swing between Rampage and Collision. That's what I would do to spread things out. So now things will feel different. This way, now people got a reason to go to these said shows. They have a reason now. That's what I want. I know people say, "Oh, you just trying to make it like the E." No, I'm trying to make it where, because you want your championships to feel different. I don't want the Continental, quote unquote, Triple Crown Championship, feeling like the international order, or how the heck I forget, the TNT title over on TNT. So that TNT Championship will be on Collision as well. So those are your main 4 belts or main 3 belts over on Collision. I don't want the TNT belt feeling like the international belt, feeling like the Triple Crown belt. I don't want it. I want it to feel different. I want them to have its own identity. But again, that's Tony Khan's booking. Tony Khan just books the matches because that's all he knows how to do. Give it a different feel. Break them up. That's the name of the game. And then all the Ring of Honor stuff, the only clown from Ring of Honor that should be on the show, is allowed to be on the show, is Mark Briscoe. He's the only one. All these other cats, no. If you're on Ring of Honor, stay the heck on Ring of Honor. I don't need to see Sammy Guevara and Dustin and them and all these. No, stay your butt over on Ring of Honor. That's where you belong. Until your storyline is important enough that you can come on up to the main roster, then come on up. But I don't need to see this champion because you got too many belts that feel the same. They feel the same exact way. I don't need that, man. Real talk. I definitely don't. But all 4 of these clowns, they went in here. They did what they're supposed to do. Mark Briscoe. Now, look, this is one issue I got with Mark Briscoe. He's starting to act just like Mox, just like Dustin. Mark, why you get busted? Why you busting yourself open and it don't call for it? It does not. Mark Briscoe is starting to. It's becoming a little issue of mine. I had to deal with it with Mox so silly, so I had to deal with it with Dustin. You don't need. Listen, if it calls for you to bleed, go. Don't do it and you just doing it just because. That's Mark Briscoe start every time I look. This fool, I'm like, bro, it's not adding to the match. It's you're going overboard. This is why I say Tony Khan and company, they believe a little bit too much. Calm it down. Do it when, like I said, the main event, you needed it. You needed it bad because it was the Chicago street fight, you needed it. Those matches call for somebody to get busted open. This right here didn't call for nobody to get busted open. It didn't. Mark Briscoe just fine. Every time he get in there, every time I look, this fool look like, Mark, what do you bleed? Why? Bro, you don't need to bleed, man. You don't, bro. That's just, you're oversaturating it. It's like, dog. This is what I say, TK, man. Less is more. Please get that through your thick skull, man. Less is more. Please. Okada retains, and we move on. So far, 3/4 of the elite have took care of business. So now we still got the World Heavyweight Championship. They was talking about, well, if those 3 got it done, does Jack Perry get his done? Now we get to the other women's match, the AEW TBS Championship. This matchup actually was very good. A lot of people, let me tell you something, because of the spot, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I mean when I say it's based on the spot, because you got to look at the reaction of the fans. Yes, they were saying Holy Sheeta. They were saying CEO. They were saying, some fans were saying Mercedes Fonay, booing, doing what they supposed to do. Now, the whole stipulation was Camille was banned. So I'm sitting up and saying, okay, maybe Mercedes is going to be a chicken poop heel, have somebody come out here and help her out. No. Mercedes and she actually did a very good job. Yes, I would take Willow and Chris over this matchup, but it was still a good, very good match, and Mercedes won by herself. She was doing everything in her power to get over on Mercedes. She tried everything she had. She even was going to cheat herself. She went and grabbed that doggone steel K. She went and grabbed that Kindle stick that she was going to use, and she wasn't able to use it. She was going to use it. She was willing to disqualify herself just to take out Mercedes. But she said, you know what, no. She was going to use it. She really was. But Mercedes, as she is, she came in there, did what she was supposed to do, got the job done. 1, 2, 3. She won on her own. That's when Camille came out. I forgot to talk about it. So on the pre-show, we had the so-called celebration. Sky Blue, I didn't even know this. You normally fight for when everybody, they know the ins and outs on who's hurt, who's injured. I didn't know my girl Sky Blue is hurt. That girl is on crutches right now. I said, my girl, she looks so sad, man. She came out there. I'm like, girl, she came out here on crutches and looked like she, ain't gonna lie, looked like she picked up a little weight. That's why I said, I'm like, that's my girl. Still my girl, Sky Blue. Still my girl. But I don't know when she's going to be back. I have no clue. Tony Schiavone was talking to her, and as she was talking, this is when Mariah came out to have her quote-unquote celebration or whatever. So she was riding the fans, talking about this is where you don't come out here because everybody out here is poor and all this stuff. So as she was out here talking, Sky Blue called herself trying to clap back at her. Now, Tony Khan is basically planting seeds. You know when she gets back, you know she going to go for her. That's all. Like, the seeds were already planted. I don't know if y'all caught it, but the seeds were planted. Like I said, stuff like that, that's important. If that's going to be on the pre-show, that's important. I need to see that. Outside of the stupid matches that was on there, that right there was important. Now, the execution is always about how you execute. You got to be believable. And I'm going to be honest with you. I love Sky Blue, but Sky Blue still got to get better on them promos. She got to get better. As for as for Mariah, it's based off of who she's working with. Her and Tony made her into the star that she is right now. She came in here, she took it. Now she's the lead role. This is where the writing and whoever is backing her, this is where they have to really make things matter. Whatever she's saying, it has to feel believable. You got to believe it. Sky Blue, get better. Like I said, get better when get healthier. Get better on cutting promos. She gets better on cutting promos. Come on back. Do what you need to do. Now my girl, Queen Amata. Now I don't know what the heck Queen Amata running her hair. She looked like she just left the strip club. I'm sorry. I'm like, my girl don't usually dress like that. She come out dressed like a queen. She came out here because basically she had took her crutches. She started beating the bricks off a bad ankle. So Queen Amata came out here and basically tried to protect her or whatever. So Tony Khan pretty much told you what's her matchup going to be over on Dynamite. Mariah's going against Queen Amata. Now, I wouldn't do that right away. What I would do, I would have Queen Amata get some victories on her sleeve. That's what you want. I don't like where you just jump somebody and then boom, automatically you get a shot. No, it shouldn't be like that. That's why I don't like that booking. I really don't. I'll never be a fan of that booking. But let Queen Amata get some victories on Dynamite. Let her get some victories on Rampage. And let her get another victory on freaking Collision. This way she can stack her victories up. And then she can go and gun for Mariah May. Like I said, you can actually set, instead of doing the matchup on Dynamite, because that's the match that's going to happen on Dynamite. Instead of doing the match on Dynamite, I would actually set this up. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be at Grand Slam. I would build up Queen Amata versus Mariah at Grand Slam. No, Queen Amata's not going to win, but at least let her get some victories up so you can see what does she bring to the table. I watched Rampage. She was on there. She had a decent matchup. I don't watch Ring of Honor. She's on Ring of Honor doing her thing. We want to know, why is Queen Amata coming out of all people being the one that's going after Mariah? You got to make it feel believable. And I'm going to be honest with you, that segment kind of flopped. I'm just calling for what it is. I'm just being real. I know you got my sister right there, but it kind of flopped. Everybody that's dealing with whoever you dealing with, the situation, it got to feel believable. It has to be believable. If it's not believable, I don't know what we're doing. I real talk, but that's all I want to say. Back to this situation. Mercedes did what she had to do. She won clean. Camille came out there. I don't know what's next for Sheeta. I don't know what's next for Mercedes Moné, but that was that. But I thought the match was good. Now the crowd, yes, they made noise. They kind of was, in and out or whatever. But again, this is the whole point of what I'm saying. These extra long man pay-per-views, they too dang long. It's too long, man. It's too long. Cut the dead weight. Cut the dead weight. Like I said, put that doggone Triple Crown Fatal 4-Way on the pre-show. This way you got 7 matches and the match placement. I absolutely probably would have opened the show with Sheeta and Mercedes. This way the crowd is hot. They into it. Mercedes and Sheeta get to kick the show off. They would kick the show off. Then I would probably do MJF and DG as my second matchup. Everything else will follow suit. I would just keep going. Or I would probably do the World Heavyweight Championship match, because I personally I believe that's next. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this was built, last minute build. I know this was based off of quote unquote because Jack Perry beat the number 1 contender, so he automatically is the number 1 contender or whatever. This, unfortunately, as good as both of these cats are in the ring, this was the worst match on the show. Real talk. This was the worst match. Jack Perry come driving his doggone van. They showed him driving all over Chicago, whatever. He comes there. Young Bucks are waiting on him in the doggone alley before they walk in. Then they got the riot gear squad pulling up, trying to protect them, all this crazy crap. That's his entrance or whatever. And he comes out there, and like I said, they started sitting on commentary again and said, well, everybody in the elite took care of business. Jack Perry's turn. Can he take care of business? I said, no, he's not. Because this is primarily the entire show was a heel show. If you think about it, outside the pre-show, the majority of the heels was winning. So I said, all right. So they went in there. They did what they were supposed to do. The best part of this whole thing was Jack Perry selling Bryan's knee. You know that knee that he does. And then after he took him out, he retained the championship. Now, the aftermath of this, Lord knows I didn't see this coming. I did not see any of this coming. Now, I knew Christian had his doggone claws. I said, ain't no way Christian gonna do this tonight. I said it. I ain't no way. There's absolutely no way he's gonna do this tonight. None. Luchasaurus came in there, and him and Jack Perry were looking at each other as if, is it time to get back together? They teased it, but he came in there basically to lay out Bryan. So right now, Jack Perry is a heel, Luchasaurus is a heel. Remember that. They both heels. But Jack Perry was like, all right, let me get out of here. You did your job. I gotta go. Then that's when the Patriarch came out. I was like, oh no. I said, I know Christian ain't finna cash in. I said, I know he is not finna cash in. After we just did all that foolishness at All In, and they sit up and said you can cash in whenever you want. I didn't hear that. All I heard was whoever wins is going all out. That's what I heard. I didn't hear nothing about no doggone cash in. I didn't hear that. The Patriarch came out. Mama Wayne, him, they all come out. And then the BCC come out of nowhere, include Mox. I said, oh, finally, Mox finally acknowledges this guy as the world champion. They come out. Pac comes out. Claudio comes out. Yuta comes out. They all come out, and they basically run Christian and Squad off. So they just run off. So they get in the ring. Moxley hugs the man. Now listen, Moxley don't. That's not Moxley's cup of tea. You know he don't know how to do that. And Yuta had a look on his face like, no, that's not. I don't know. Something about to happen. Moxley lays out Bryan. He knocks him out cold. He beats the brakes off of him. And Yuta was this may listen. Yuta had utilized what he was there for. That the crying, the emotions that he was showcasing. They was Claudio and them was holding him off. And shout out to Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston tried to warn folk that Claudio was a joke. Don't trust him. He tried to warn everybody. Don't trust Claudio. Claudio, Pac, and Moxley have turned on Bryan and Yuta. So that tells me this. So people is questioning what the heck happened to the trio. Moxley is the new trio champion. Yuta is out. Bryan is out. They are done. They done with the BCC. It's Moxley's new squad. Remember, it's all about Moxley's new squad. We still don't know how Shane is gonna get involved. We don't know. But the beatdown and everything that happened is to showcase that this new regime is getting ready to take over. So I'm going with Moxley as new trios champion right now. It's Moxley, it's Pac, it's Claudio. That's the only explanation. That's the only way it makes sense. You understand what I'm saying? And again, they would be on Collision. Now they get a reason, get behind. Now your job is to build up a babyface team to take them down. That's Tony Khan's squad. That's his number one thing should be thinking. I got to figure out how to take down Moxley in the new regime or whatever. Because Marina Shafir came in there laying out clowns too. Oh, and the scene of the whole thing was a murder scene. Moxley had a plastic bag and he put it over Bryan's head and basically tried to kill him. Tried to suffocate him. Live on TV. Live on pay-per-view. I ain't see that foolishness happen. I was never thinking that clown stuff was going. That was the furthest thing from my mind. And we saw that. I said, well, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Khan does it again. I say, if he wants to tell some stories, if he wants to get you to feel some kind of way about what you're watching, he's going to do it. I got to give him all the credit. Him and whoever else decided to come up with that situation. Bravo, because that was fantastic. I didn't see that foolishness coming. I didn't see it coming. But that's what I'm thinking about. Pay-per-view has to have you thinking. It has to have you feeling some kind of way after you watch the show. You can't just sit up here and watch it and be like, okay, that was nice, and then we move on. No, something that you've seen from that show is going to have to get you to go to the next episode of episodic TV or whatever you're trying to tell. That was cool. That was great. Moxley's new squad, this foolishness that they are pulling the strings or what, I don't know. We don't know nothing. We just got to tune in, and that was great. I thought that was fantastic. Brian getting laid out, Yuta crying, feeling some kind of way. He's out. The new trios champions is Pac, Claudio, and Moxley, with Marina Shafir as the heavy. That's that. But this was by far the weakest match on the whole show. A lot of people were saying it was Mercedes and Sheeta. No, that match was great. This was the weakest match on the whole show. Why? Because of the time frame, and like I said, this is the weakest build out of all of them. Outside of the doggone Fatal 4-Way, which I would have put on the pre-show. That's my one match I would have put on the pre-show. That Fatal 4-Way. I would have did that. And then, like I said, I would have opened the show with Mercedes and Sheeta. And then my second match would have been Brian. Actually, that stuff would have happened at the beginning of the show. Because you would have had that, and that's all people thinking about. That's the War Heavyweight Champion almost getting murdered. That's all they thinking about. Then I would have did every other matchup in the same order that it went. That's how I would have booked the show. Because again, match placement is how pay-per-views always succeed. It's about match placement. And like I say, less is more. You kill them 4 matches that didn't belong on the pre-show. You put the Fatal 4-Way on the pre-show, and then you open the show with Mercedes and Sheeta. Then you do the second match, which would be Brian and Jack Perry. Then you do MJF and DG, and all the other matches follow suit. Guess what? We out the door about 10 o'clock. Boom, 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 boom. We out the door. So that's that. So, like I said, the aftermath of that match, great job, Tony Khan. Great job. Then we get to this situation right here. I already knew these clowns was finna just, I knew it, but they went to another level of psychotic, twisted, demonic, demented, insane to the membrane. They went there because this was a unsanctioned lights out steel cage match. So you knew these fools were going to beat the brakes off each other. You just knew it. They told the story. Swerve coming in here. Hangman ain't wanting. I told you what Hangman represent. He represent the old school quote unquote white supremacists that do not like FBAs being in that space and being a crown as champion and being succeed or whatever. That's what he represented. Like I said, they did a great job. The whole 9. Hangman and Swerve were forever bound to wrestle each other. That's just how the script goes. Hangman comes out and he looks twisted and demented. He looks like he just, you know how he go. Swerve came out and Hangman couldn't believe it. When Swerve came out, Swerve was rocking he had a white outfit with flames around it, and the pictures were what Hangman did to his house. So he pretty much was like, oh, you might have gotten me by burning my house down, but guess what? You still ain't, I'm still gonna be in your head. Because I'm finna put all those pictures that you had with him sitting in front of the house with it burning, with him sitting on the easy chair and drinking. He had that all on his outfit. I said, man, listen, the visuals, the creativity that these cats have. That's why I say Swerve is one of the best of the game. Do not allow some coon track that he put out there to get you to feel some kind of way about it. This brother knows what he is doing. This is why I salute Mr. Shane Strickland. Swerve, I salute this brother. Prince Nana coming out here doing the dance, but he looked ticked off. And before the match even got started, these two started beating the bricks. I mean, they tore each other up. They beat the brakes off each other. And before, as the cage was coming down, they literally was right where the cage was going to go down. They literally was looking up and trying to see, okay, who going to kill who by having the cage come down and smash them. And so Prince Nana had enough. He pushed them both in there. So there they go. They started beating the brakes off each other. Heyman had the barbed wire, popped them in the head with it. Then he pulled out with that doggone staple gun. He started stapling them. You know those staples don't do nothing. Swerve just laughing off. So he took the staples and he started stapling doggone Heyman in his head. And he took the pictures that he had from his family or whatever, and he started stapling them to the side of Heyman's head. Just twisted and demented. These clowns are throwing each other into the doggone cage. I mean, just beating the brakes off each other. Swerve went and got that cinder block. He threw Heyman through it. Now Heyman, the way how he came down awkward on it because you seen the gashes on his back. But then Heyman did the same thing to Swerve. And I mean, these two were just tearing each other up. They was whacking each other in the head with chairs, busting each other open. These two are just twisted, sick, demented. I'm telling you, the fans were saying you sick F all throughout the whole match. It's insane. This insane violence that these clowns actually do to one another. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It is insane. And now on commentary, during the World Heavyweight Championship match, I forgot to talk about this. JR said, let's hurry up get this stuff over with. I didn't blame him because he was right. Tony, listen to JR for once, please. I know JR be kind of going off because he ain't the same dude no more like how he used to be. But when it comes to situations like that, if certain matches don't need to be no 30 minutes, just don't. Because that's one of their biggest issues. Everybody don't need to have a 20 to 30 minute match. Everybody, it's not called for. Give me 15 minutes, give me 16 minutes, I'm good. Whatever you need to tell, if your beef is a serious beef, you can have 30 plus minutes. But if it's not, just give me 16, give me 17 minutes, go out there, do what you need to do, and let's hurry up, get on to the next match. That's it. So the World Heavyweight Championship match didn't need to be no freaking 30 plus minutes. It didn't. Because there really wasn't no story to tell. It was just Hangman basically jumping Darby Allin to get his spot to basically, quote unquote, try to end Bryan Danielson. And plus they was in Chicago of all places, But it is what it is. So back to this matchup. These two I'm telling you, just sick, twisted. I mean, whatever it takes to end each other. And they went at it. They went at it, man. And the ending sequence of this matchup, Hangman pulled out an ejection shot thing and stuck it in the side of Swerve. I said, these fools are sick. They are sick and twisted, man. I'm like, the levels that they would go to abuse one another. It's just crazy. And then he popped them in the head through the chair. It was over. Swerve is done. Swerve will be off TV for the foreseeable future. I'm telling you right now, we won't see Swerve for a very long time. I don't know when he'll be back. But during this time, this is where Hangman needs to be potentially getting himself back into potentially going up for the World Championship. And so after the matchup, after he walked off, he kind of had some remorse because he kind of went back. But then the last remembering scene that you're going to see, Hangman screaming in the camera looking like a straight demoniac. That was the last scene you saw by watching this dog on pay-per-view. I was like, man, if it wasn't for the garbage crap on the pre-show, if they would switch certain things around, this could have been a 9, possibly 10 out of 10. But again, I told you, less is more. If your storyline is important, I'm putting you on. If it's not, you're not going on. I don't give a dang what you cry in the back. You can say, man, Tony, I need to be on the show. No, you don't. I'm not putting you on my show. I don't give a dang. Listen, I know I'm the one at fault because it's my fault that you feel like you don't matter. It's my fault that I got all these clowns on my show. Oh yeah. So they had talked to Will Ospreay was in the back and he was celebrating the fact that he beat the brakes off and he was giving Pockets his due and all that stuff. Ricochet ran up to him and they was like, yeah. He said, look here, get to the back of the line, win a couple of matches and then you can come see me. He said, I'm seeing you right now. So they basically trying to tell you that storyline right now. So Ricochet and Will Ospreay are going. Now here's the deal. I don't want them wrestling right now. I do not. I don't want it. I want Tony Khan to make the story breathe and give it more time so people can actually get behind whatever they're trying to tell. That's all I care about. I don't want to see, next week I don't want to see that because I know that's how he think. That's what he did. It's like, I don't know how to book. Let me just go ahead and just throw this wrestler versus. No, we need a story. Why? Why wrestler A versus wrestler B? That's it. Outside of this, once again, Tony Khan knocked it out the park. Like I said, cut the dead weight. I say this all the time. It's one of my biggest critiques about him in this pay-per-view. Cut the dead weight. Cut it. You cut the dead weight. You take the doggone fatal 4-way, put that on a pre-show, man. I'm telling you, look at that 9, possibly 10 out of 10. But nope. I'm always fair. I keeps it at a decent grade. This was an 8 out of 10. Both, listen, All In, All Out were fantastic pay-per-views. I like All In just a tad bit better. All Out was great, but like I said, it's still too long. That's Tony Khan's biggest issue. Cut the dead weight. I'm gonna say this every pay-per-view. Every time he try to be sneaky about it, because that's all he know how to do is just be sneaky. No, don't be sneaky. Put the matches that need to be on there, put it on there. If it's not, don't put it on there. I don't care if them clowns are crying in the back. Tell them clowns, no, you ain't going on the show. I'm not putting you on. But outside of that, man, I ain't got nothing else to say, man. I hope y'all liked the show. Tell me what you liked about the show. Tell me what you didn't like about the show. You give me your grade in the comment section, and we're going to keep this thing going. No, I did not watch SmackDown. I know this was the final episode. They're going to be on USA Network for the foreseeable future, so no SmackDown review because I didn't watch it. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. This your main man, KCVL, King Self Life Wrestling Takes. I'm out the door. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button, and I'm out. I'll let you boy.